Hey guys, so I recently brought an updated Cyber Dragon deck profile for this Tier 0 format, and so I thought I'd bring some replays as promised. Now, if you watch that deck profile, you'll know that I said that I will be going second game 1, but post-side I'm intentionally going first, so definitely make sure to check that video out for the theory and discussion and card choices. And so let's just get right into the replay. And so basically, this is post-side actually. I'm going up against Tearlaments, which is one of the decks I'm going to choose to go first. Intentionally, and Ashen Tearlaments, I'm not sure if that's really common. I can't say so. I actually play Shizu Tearlaments myself. So this is one of the things that we're playing post side is that Necro Valley and Soul Drain. So I drew pretty well in that regard, although I ideally would have liked to make the Infinity on top of that. He does have instant fusion and is going to have access to the kit. Not sure if he doesn't play Heartbeat. So unfortunately, you know, just having core alone is not enough, but he also has the Crime, which shuffles back, which is pretty good. Necro Valley is good, but you know, they do have many ways to out it if they can just make that rank 4 play for the Baguska and then go into Zeus. I'm not sure why he searched. Maybe he doesn't play Zeus, that's why. I mean, I would have still searched something in normal, then keep attacking. Obviously not looking great, and this is going to be a pretty grindy deck as well. And so we're going to search the Cyber Dragon off the hers. And so now we do draw the core, which is very nice. Cyber Dragon core, use effect to search. We're going to go Cyber Low Fusion. Like, you could also search Emergency and make Nova Infinity. I really did want to get rid of that planet though. He's going to use Hovness, Necro Valley, so he's not really going to be able to, you know, fuse at least. He's trying to kill back Bounce. We do have the Rivalry as well, and that's a fairy, so he's not going to be able to summon that. So Rampage is safe and is not going to get bounced yet. We're going to just send... we can't add Core anymore because of Necro Valley, so we do have to add Cyber Dragon. So this does affect us a little bit, but not nearly as much as Tearlaments. That's why I decided to play it. And so Rampage will be able to attack over multiple things. Scream is not bad, actually. He does set that one. So now we do have the hand to be able to make Infinity. Unfortunately, of course, now that cards were sent from my deck to the grave, he can Kelbeck bounce it, but at this point it's okay. Rampage has done its job, and we're now going to be able to summon the we have to summon from hand now again because of Necro Valley. We cannot summon from the graveyard, so just keep that in mind if you're gonna also play this in the side just like I did. So we are still able to make Infinity at least, and he does have a set one. We're going to Tribute Summon Soldier, which does not happen often. I decided to attack with Infinity first because Merly does have 2000 defense, just to make sure, just to be on the safe side. Overflow, that was a bad search because of Necro Valley. Again, you cannot use it. So, I mean, I guess in case it got popped, I had this, but this is generally not that great against Tearlaments. But we do take that one, so let's just move on to the next replay. Alright, so this next replay is also against Tearlaments, except it's some kind of Dino variant, which is kind of interesting, but also very, very strange. And so we're going second in this one. This is, I believe, game 1. So he's going to have the instant fusion because he is skilled and get that Kikalos. And also just use that effect special. And then the Rhino. Rhino provides like that guaranteed fusion play. And then the Rhino and the Scream, that's another mill 8. He has like the Sharon. He's going to have the Rukalos for the fusion, or rather special summon negate, and then also the Kaleido for the spin, which is very strong, and he also has a planet, which he probably should have started with first, because then he could have just popped his Scream and then, for example, get access to the Crime as well. We're going to go with Evenly, which is pretty successful in game 1 situations. With core, he's going to have this. I really should have added Emergency. I should have paid attention to what he said, because I should have saw that he's going to spin back. And so with Emergency, I at least would have summoned out Naxer, for example, another body, contact fuse everything away, and at least have some kind of a chance, but probably not. I think he had a too good of a clapback enemies, but let's just move on to the next one. So next we're going up against Exosisters, which is kind of a popular deck in a way because of the, you know, popularity of Tearlaments, because this is a deck that can play Dimension Shifter and just other floodgates as well, and just a lot of banishing, which tiers generally don't do well under. So he's gonna have the Stella and have the, honestly they're going too fast, but the Magnifica. And so lots of floodgates. We are amazing, so we do top deck the Feather Duster. Goes a match, kind of affects us, but for the most part we can play under it at least, especially because Zeus is light as well, which is nice. Magnifica, he's gonna banish. We do have the core. We also have multiple ways of going into the Nova Infinity play, which is why I like playing Machine Dupe usually. Just relying on Soldier. Hers can be a little challenging, especially in a format where there's Grave Shufflers and the Bistuals. He's going to banish the Nova, which of course we sort of had to sacrifice that play. We do have the Cyberload Fusion though to get them back into the deck, which is kind of nice. So I opened a lot of gas for this one, not gonna lie. Unfortunately, because I had all the Cyber Dragons in grave and I couldn't add from deck, Soldier had to add from, rather the Hers had to add Cyber Dragon from Grave, which triggered all the Exo monsters. This is going to be able to negate, which doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter if Nova gets negated. So we're essentially going to Infinity, suck it up. We're actually just going to attack first because we want to just re-swipe everything. And then we also have the Cyber Load. The Elm Rush, we'd have to just strip it off just to at least protect it. Kind of a waste, essentially. We decided to set Cyber Load instead of playing it that same turn because I knew that they would at least set something probably, and Rampage, at least on their end phase, can pop that back row. And now, usually, you know, you're restricted to attacking with only that fusion summon monster if you use Cyber Load fusion, but if you do it in your opponent's turn, then it doesn't matter, and this would have been game. So let's move on to the next one. So next, we were playing against Hero, which honestly is not a good matchup for Cyber Dragons because Dark Law, like just being able to banish everything, like you cannot contact fuse under that, and just you cannot use Galaxy Soldier Hers play either. Destiny Draw I don't think is really played in Heroes. I don't think this is a good choice, but who knows. Ferris, DP is very strong, double Ash, it's pretty funny. Not many, you know, hand traps, of course, being played at the moment, at least only primarily because most of the formats just dominated by Tearlaments. Dark Angel is pretty nice, although not great against Tears. It does something, but Tears can play without spells, but against most other decks, you know, this is pretty dangerous. But we do have Anima, and so here we have the Kaiju as well, and the Anima is really nice. Otherwise, Dark Angel would have negated her spell effects. He Ashes Field Spell, which I guess is kind of understandable because this leads to an Omni Negate, but in Cyber Dragons, definitely do not Ashes. It's not that great for us anyways. It's alright. So we have Prosperity, so he's only taking half damage. We have the Core, and so with Core, we will just add the Ref System. We're going to suck up that Jizuku, and our opponent just scoops here, but yeah, definitely just one of the reasons why I really like Anima, and it's just, sometimes it just comes up. And so let's move on to the next one. So now we move into the Runick Naturia, which is interesting. So Naturia in itself has been popular lately because it's a good counter to Tears, at least with the Earth Fairy variant, because they can, you know, shuffle those grave cards back. But this one, I think, I've seen it being played a little bit. I think Runick sort of died, especially Runick Spright died is when the Ishizu cards came out, because they would just shuffle back all their targets and you wouldn't be able to draw anything. So just ending on the Chang Ying. But it was sneaky good, actually, especially because as long as they have that field spell, they can activate these Runick cards from hand, and they're all, they pretty much cover everything, you know, in terms of pops, negates. It's pretty cool. And they're also not one per turn, by the way, which is crazy. And so he pops my cards. I try my best to constantly make that Nova Infinity, and he's going to negate, and because the cards are banished, Chang Ying's going to trigger, which is actually pretty cool. We have the talents. We draw 2, so, you know, we can get rid of it, but unfortunately, not great. And that Runick spell, just so much recursion, especially if you're not a deck like Ishizu Tearlaments that can just shuffle their targets back. They're just going to have a lot of advantage. Obviously, they have to skip their battle phase, but, you know, when you can just generate so much resources and just destroy everything that you have, that really doesn't matter. But you do have to think like a few plays ahead when you play any kind of Runick deck, especially in a tournament setting when you have time limit. You definitely have to be a pretty good pilot and just manage your time very well. And so he's just going to pop everything and banish everything. He, again, has to skip that battle phase because he uses Runick cards. But we, unfortunately, are not looking good. And that Barone is pretty strong. So some synchro plays in this Runick deck, and really interesting to see. Alright, so other than the traditional going second variant, I also wanted to briefly cover that going for a Cyber Spright variant that I almost took to the remote YCS as well. And then we'll just share a few replays as well. But I really like the Fenrir in the going first build. It's good against Tears and Flunder, which is what I'm trying to aim for. Just a small Spright package. I did like having 3 starters because I think this is very, very strong. And just 2 Clockwork, and then the Summon Limit and Soul Drain as the Floodgates because we were going first even in game 1 with this build. Originally, I was also trying like the Gale Dogra and the Winda play, but that's really bad against Flunder, and honestly Winda is still pretty decently easy to get over with, so I decided just to not bother with that, especially because that Shadal Schism play to get that Winda out is so prone to Bestials that I just did not bother with it. Extra deck is pretty much the same as before, I believe. The Unicorn is interesting because, for example, in situations where you only have the Spright stuff, you can at least get like Core out of Gigantic, and then later, if you, like, let's say you also had a Hers in hand, which you can't really do much with when you have your Spright stuff going on, at least you can, like with the Unicorn, pitch the Hers and then just get that Core back for the next turn. So that can kind of come up with this build. And then the side, pretty much your going second cards. I did really like the Eradicator Epidemic Virus in this build because Gigantic is going to be an easy 3200 attack that you can tribute off, but even Fortress technically under Clockwork Knight with that 500 boost, and this is always going to be minimum 2000, so that becomes 2500, which meets the requirements for the Eradicator Epidemic Virus, which is great going first against a deck like Flunder. So let's just share a few replays with this deck. Alright, so with the Cyber Spright build, we're going to go against Branded Despia in this example, and this is post-side, that's why we had the Eradicator, but just to show how strong this card really is. And Branded Despia with the Bestial stuff is actually pretty good, and it's a quickly forgotten deck. Of course, it was tier 1 for like 2 months. Definitely make sure to check out my recent Branded Despia deck profile featuring my friend Dylan, really cool guy. So we have the Nova Infinity play. With this build, only the Soldier line is available to make Infinity, and now we can actually do the Sprite combo. Unfortunately, the Bestial can be quite detrimental. He should have done this a lot earlier though. He should have done it when I pitched the hers with the Soldier, then hers would not have triggered. Oh, actually, I guess, yeah. I can't remember if I had a monster at that point. But anyways, so we have now the Sprite stuff with the Elf, and we have 4 sets. So very good going first hand. Definitely not realistic, but really cool to see he couldn't Super Palm me either. So he loses all his cards, and we can just Infinity Negate everything. And you, on top of that, also have the red for the tragedy. Like, it's just crazy. So yeah, we take that one. So let's move on to the next one. So next up we have Madolche, which again is another favorite deck right now because it's also a good counter to Tearlaments because of its synergy with the Vernisylph cards. He plays Droll. I can't remember if this was post-side or if he was just playing going second build game 1. Unfortunately, we just have the Sprite stuff at the moment. And we're going to go into IP. We are under Droll, cannot search. Clockwork Knight's good because Strike monsters have always struggled because they're weak, but this boosts them. And then we can have kind of like the Contact Fusion on the next turn. He does Lava Golem us though, but he doesn't have much play either. And so we're just taking the 1000. We're also, hers is at least 600, and the Clockwork Knight putting in work, honestly. So we are gonna, even Almorage has attack now. So we're gonna get that core back because of the hers, and we did, summon that out with the Gigantic. So they're going to go into battle. We're just going to tribute off the Almirage. So we're still pretty good. The summon limit is also pretty clutch. We're taking that 1000. And so we're just going to start swinging. Unfortunately, met with Droplet, which means it is no longer Cyber Dragon. So we cannot Contact Fuse this away. It would have been probably game, but he does have still some hope left. But we do have that Imperm, which is very good. This trap is very nice. Does negate things. Anything, really. The Hoop Cake, nope. We are Imperming. This card is just like OTK on its own. So we did take some damage here, but obviously... and the Almirage, it's funny. Remember, if a normal summon monster is destroyed, you can actually bring this back from grave. He's going to orange, and the Almirage can actually protect this, which is pretty funny. It didn't really matter because we would have Contact Fused this away anyways, but it is cool to see that interaction, and don't forget that effect. Sometimes you might not want to do it though, because you just want to control no monsters, so that you can banish core from grave on your turn when it rolls around, so definitely be careful with that. And the final replay is against a long forgotten deck in Altergeist, and playing D-Shifter, which is kind of interesting. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive in a format with Tearlaments. And so we do have a good amount of Cyber Dragon cards and Sprite stuff, which is nice, but back row, usually something we struggle against. He's gonna use the Spoofing, just put that Multi-Faker, but bring it back out just so you can trigger it because you activated a trap. And so we are facing Sliquidus, which can bounce, which is pretty annoying. This deck is just never been my favorite. We're actually going to use Cyber Fusion here with that banished Cyber Dragon because of Shifter, just so we can pop multiple back row. It's funny, this protocol does not actually resolve because he cannot send his Altergeist monster to grave because of Shifter. Now keep in mind with the Rampage, you actually, even if you use its effect to send from deck, it will get banished instead, so it actually will not gain attack. And so now, this is where the Sprite stuff is very nice. Off one card, you can just kind of build up a bit of a board after cracking your opponent's board, which is really cool. And so we do have we're kind of doing Sprite stuff now after that initial Cyber Dragon stuff with the Rampage, which is one of my favorite fusion cards. And so now we have a lot of cards. He's going to try to use the Spoofing. We're going to just destroy that with the Carrot. And so now we have the Soldier, and our opponent just scoops here. We just have a lot of bodies and just hard to get come back from for a control deck when they just have no resources. Alright guys, so that was it for the replays. Hope you enjoyed that. And again, definitely make sure to check out my Cyber Dragon deck profiles for the card choices and the theory behind everything. And so hope you enjoyed that, and well, take care.